outdoor artificial light. And this is something I don't think we've discussed in Garden Club. And I found our speaker. She actually wrote a wonderful article in the National Gardener about a year ago. So I hope you look up that article. But I want to introduce our speaker. Karen Bowen is the Pacific Region Butterfly Chairman and a member of the Yuma Orchid and African Violet Society. She writes a bi-monthly column for the Yuma Sun newspaper called Yuma Desert Gardener. She also writes a column for the magazine Valley Women for the El Centro California newspaper. She manages two Facebook sites called Yuma Desert Gardener and Yuma Garden Club's Western District. She is the blog manager for the Arizona Federation of Garden Clubs state blog site found at azgardenclubs.com/blog. Karen has two grown children and an almost 2-year-old grandson who are her pride and joy. She and her husband, Randy, enjoy traveling and fishing. So I want to thank Karen for being our speaker today. And I will say that she is getting over COVID. So her voice might come in and out, but she said she has a good supply of cough drops. Andy, so thank you, Karen, and take it away.
Thank you, Brenda, for the nice introduction. I do apologize for my voice, but it is better than it has been, so I'm hoping you can understand. I want to welcome you to the webinar today. We're going to be talking about dark sky, and you may not be familiar with dark sky, but it is becoming more and more known as areas in the world are certified as dark sky locations. Its main goal is to protect visibility of our night skies. When most of us go outside and look up in the evening sky, it's really hard to see much of anything. I see a few stars and of course the moon, but I don't have a sharp view of the stars and planets overhead. It could be my bad eyesight, but part of the problem is light pollution. According to Dark Sky, only about 17% of the global population has good visibility of the night sky. Dark Sky is working to educate the public about this problem and is trying to preserve dark skies in as many locations around the world as they can. When America was a new nation, campfires, candles, and oil lamps were used for light. These did not affect the visibility of the night sky and were not a problem for nocturnal animals. Looking up, constellations and stars were easily seen. Today, light pollution is a big problem in many areas of America and the rest of the world. The orange and yellow and white areas of the map have highest light pollution and are major cities. The green areas and blue areas have less light pollution. This light pollution is called light glow, and lights shoot their beams up into the night sky and create an actual glow that can be measured. You can see that our eastern states have the highest light pollution. Just by light pollution, can you find your state's capital on the map? I can see Phoenix, which is Arizona's capital, quite easily. And if I look to California, Sacramento is in the northern part of the state, but LA down below it has even more light pollution. These maps show how light pollution has increased over the years. The 1950s had much less light pollution than 1997. And looking at the 2025 map on the right, you see almost all of America is covered with light pollution. The eastern states have red colors where orange used to be, which means they have even more light pollution than in the 1997 era. Think about the lights in your home, your hometown. Do you have bright lights along your streets and main highways? Are there lights of commercial signs shining brightly at night? How about lights at your house? Do you have only front door lights or security lights all around the home? The more lights outside, the more light pollution. Light pollution around the world has increased sharply in the last 30 years and continues to increase each year. From outer space, cities are clearly visible. The city in the top is Moscow, and the city below is Las Vegas. Dark sky defines light pollution as man-made alterations of outdoor light levels from those occurring naturally. In other words, light pollution is created by artificial lights shining at night. To help lower light pollution, Dark Sky was begun in 1988 as a volunteer organization. One of its goals is to educate the public about the need to preserve dark skies around the world. Another goal is to protect nocturnal animals from light pollution, which can upset their nightly activities. Dark Sky wants to protect our night skies for present and future generations. To make a better future for our children is a goal I think we all have. The officers of Dark Sky work diligently to inform the public about the need to preserve visibility of our nighttime skies. The executive director, Ruskin Hartley, is shown in the far left photo. Dark Sky's goals are to certify outdoor lighting that reduces light pollution, work with communities to prioritize night sky protection and use of proper outdoor lighting, inform the public how excessive artificial lights at night harm wildlife, and help conserve visibility of night skies in locations worldwide. Dark sky certifications can be obtained by cities, parks, reserves, sanctuaries, and urban night places. Individual homes cannot be certified. There are 210 dark sky locations worldwide, and more are added monthly. To earn certifications, there are 5 requirements to be met. Restrict upward lighting, avoid glare from outdoor lights, avoid overlighting the area, use dim lights or controlled lights that turn on and off at designated times, and restrict blue light use and use warm colored lights instead. For information about how to certify a location, contact Dark Sky at the phone number or email address on the screen. There is a one-time fee of $250 to apply. You might be wondering how nighttime skies are harmful. What's all this fuss about? Too much light pollution wastes energy, disrupts nocturnal animals' activities, harms our health, and blocks our view of the universe. In the United States last year, outdoor lighting consumed 380 trillion watts. It's amazing that this much outdoor lighting could power 35 million homes for 1 year. Dark Sky states that 99% of that outdoor lighting was wasted and only 1% was useful. Think of all the energy and money that's going to waste. To reduce light pollution, outdoor lights need to be shielded so their light is directed only downward. Which lights give a better view of the night sky in this photo? Shields on the two lights on the right side made a big difference in lowering light pollution. Compare the house on the left with the one on the right. Which has the most light pollution? Which lets you see the stars better? The house on the right has dark sky, shielded lighting, and there are less lights on outside. Which house does yours look like? People today feel safer with more outdoor lights around their homes. This means it's important to use shielded lights and low wattage bulbs. Decorative lights shining on shrubs or trees should be on timers. Looking at these different skies, which one matches your night sky? My house is surrounded by fields, but I'm close enough to the city of Yuma that my visibility of the sky is limited. I think my sky looks more like the suburban sky because I can see a few stars showing. To reduce light pollution, use shields to focus light downward. Place lighting at correct locations so they do the most good. Place lighting at the correct height, not too high or low, for best visibility when you are walking outside. Use motion sensors or timers. Dark Sky recommends you assess your outdoor lighting to see if you can lower the amount you are using. Their websites will help you. The first helps you assess your home's outdoor lighting. The second provides information about approved lighting fixtures you can purchase. And the third is a site to join Dark Sky and receive their Nightscape magazine to keep up to date on their activities. Light pollution is harmful to nocturnal wildlife and their ability to feed, reproduce, and complete their nightly activities. The more areas around the world that are dark at night, the easier it is for nocturnal wildlife to survive. This list shows some of the hundreds of animals affected by light pollution. From bats and geckos to owls and sea turtles, many animals depend on darkness to survive. In 2013, Florida Fish and Wildlife hired Dark Sky to identify coastal lighting that was threatening the nesting locations of endangered sea turtles. Bright lights along some beaches were disorienting the hatchlings and stopping them from crawling to the ocean. They were left stranded on beaches and died. Dark Sky recommended shielding lighting that helped the hatchlings follow the correct path from their sandy nests to the ocean. Frogs and toads can have their mating rituals disrupted by too much outdoor lighting. Studies show a decline in mating and less young produced the brighter the lights are. Light pollution also affects the sleep, feeding cycles, and reproductive patterns of some birds. Did you know that moths are the largest group of night pollinators? Some moths are active during the day, but a larger group are active at night. Here are a few nocturnal moths. Do any of them live in your area? The white-lined sphinx moth in the bottom row visits my lantana all the time and feeds on flowers at dusk and dawn. Moths are beneficial and help increase seed production for birds to eat. Their role as a master pollinator has been undervalued until lately, when scientists have taken notice of these busy insects. At night, moths flit from flower to flower, sipping nectar and pollinating. They are attracted to white or pale-colored flowers that shine in the moonlight. These light colors are easily washed out by artificial lights, making it difficult for moths to find the flowers and then feed and pollinate them. Gardeners that grow moon gardens should not have nighttime lighting in or near their gardens. Moths are attracted to lights and will fly directly toward it and begin circling around and around. They will keep circling until they die of exhaustion sometimes. Light stop moths from performing their necessary activities of feeding, mating, and laying eggs. There are several theories why moths circle lights. The most common says that they navigate by keeping their natural light source, which is the moon, at their backs, so they know which way is up and down. When they fly to a porch light, they put their backs to the light and try to fly in a straight line, but instead of flying straight, they end up circling around and around the light. Did you ever catch fireflies as a child? When I visited my granddad in Mississippi, I loved catching them. There were tons on his front lawn for me to chase. Even fireflies are affected by outdoor lights, since it interferes with them seeing each other's flashes. Outdoor lights make it difficult for fireflies to communicate and find mates. Nocturnal hunters, like bats and owls, have difficulty catching prey if light pollution stops them from being hidden. Coral reefs are affected by coastal lights. The lights trick the coral into spawning outside their normal reproductive cycles, which are coordinated with the phases of the moon. If eggs are released at times other than their normal lunar cycles, the eggs are not fertilized and new coral is not produced. Scientists have seen a decline in coral reef growth in areas with the most coastal lights. Fall migration for millions of birds is happening right now and in many parts of the country. Most of these birds are migrating at night, and they can be driven off course by city lights. Some birds will circle endlessly among the lights and use up their energy so they can't complete their migrations. Others fly into windows and are killed. These birds were killed when they flew into windows in New York City. How many birds do you think are killed each year flying into windows or buildings? Dark Sky says 340 million. That was a shock to me. 70% of birds are migratory, and most fly at night using stars and the moon to navigate. The map on the right shows waterfowl flyways. Red is the Pacific Flyway, green the Central Flyway, blue the Mississippi Flyway, and black the Atlantic Flyway. Peak fall migration is mid-August through October, and spring migration is March through June. Migration months vary according to temperatures where the birds live. This map on the left shows birds migrating the night of September 7th. You can see a lot of a lot of birds were migrating south from northern states in the eastern half of the country. The western states had low to medium migration. Birdcast said over 350 million birds were migrating on the 7th. I bet few people knew millions of birds were flying overhead that night. The right-hand map shows peak spring migration dates. Southern states have highest migrations in late April, while northern states are in May. The warmer the weather, the earlier migrations will begin. St. Louis and its famous Gateway Arch sit beneath the Mississippi Flyway. The arch is brightly lit at night with spotlights. Who would think the arch would be a problem? But like other city lights, it can confuse birds and prevent them from migrating on by. According to the St. Louis Audubon Society, 60% of songbirds and 40% of waterfowl fly over St. Louis each fall and spring. Since 2023, the spotlights shining on the arch are turned off the whole month of September to help migrating birds. Mallard ducks live throughout the US and Canada. Mallards live in the pink areas on the map, migrate south to the blue areas for winter, and then return north in spring. Light pollution can affect their sense of direction during migration. The least flycatcher can also be harmed by light pollution. This tiny bird flies an amazing 60 miles each night as it migrates from its home territory in Mexico and Central America, the blue areas on the map, to Canada and a few places in the United States, the pink areas. It only takes 3 weeks for this little bird to fly one way. It spends less than 2 months up north raising its young, and then turns around and flies all the way back to Mexico and Central America for the winter. Light pollution can stop it from flying in the correct direction and can lessen its chances of surviving and reproducing. We don't think about power lines or communication towers as being harmful to birds, but they are. Waterfowl fly 200 to 4,000 feet above the ground, and songbirds fly 500 to 2,500 feet. Birdcast organization tracks bird migrations and says that 253 million migrating birds are killed annually because they fly into houses. Power lines kill about 23 million. Wind turbines kill 366,000. Communication towers kill about 7 million. And 340 million birds are killed flying into skyscrapers and other tall buildings. That's a lot of birds that we're losing. Besides harming nocturnal wildlife, light pollution can also harm us. Do you have trouble going to sleep? Many of us do. Getting too much light during your nighttime hours may be part of the problem. Too much light at night disrupts the body's circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms are controlled by a biological clock in an area of your brain called the circadian pacemaker. This area responds to natural hours of day and night. Our body has a 24-hour understanding of day and night, controlled by brainwaves that manage many of our body's functions, including sleep. Blue light is stimulating to our eyes and brain. Some studies show that blue light from your computer, TV screen, Kindle, or cell phone suppresses melatonin production, which is the hormone that signals sleep. Without enough melatonin, it is very difficult to fall asleep. Besides sleep, other body functions controlled by circadian rhythms include hormone levels, body temperature, blood pressure, and activities of the digestive tract. Disrupting the body's circadian rhythms with too much light at night can lead to a myriad of health issues that include metabolic syndrome that causes obesity, premature aging, diabetes, cardiac arrhythmias, immune deficiencies, and even hypertension. Who knew proper amounts of light and dark each day were so important to our health? Have you ever heard a doctor ask, "How late do you stay up at night?" Light pollution blocks our view of the universe. When you look up at the night sky, can you see the Milky Way where you live? I can't. If you can, you're lucky, since most Americans cannot see it because of light pollution. Did you see the 6 planets align on June 2nd or 3rd this summer? We had to drive out in the desert to have a clear enough sky to see the planets. Light pollution also stops good visibility astronomers have of celestial bodies. Only 7 of the 28 observatories worldwide have excellent visibility of the night sky. The rest have light pollution that dims their views. What we know about our universe comes from scientific research that astronomers and other scientists have accomplished over the years. We know that our solar system is part of the Milky Way galaxy, pictured here. We know the Andromeda Galaxy is the closest galaxy to the Milky Way and is 2.5 million light years from Earth. It is twice as wide as the Milky Way. Scientists say the Milky Way and Andromeda are moving towards each other, and that in about 4 million years, they expect the two to collide. We know constellations have been viewed for centuries and are groups of stars that have been given names. Which constellations in this photo do you recognize? Ursa Major, the Big Dipper, is at the bottom. Straight above it is Ursa Minor, the Little Dipper. And then you have Draco, Cepheus, Cassiopeia, and Perseus at the top. The Greek astronomer Ptolemy named 48 of the 88 constellations that make up our modern constellation system. He used earlier drawings made by Babylonian, Egyptian, Greek, and Assyrian astronomers to help name the constellations. One constellation Ptolemy named was Orion, which is seen on the far right. According to a Greek legend, Orion was a mighty hunter who boasted that he would kill all the wild animals on the land. The Greek goddess Gaia did not like his boasting and sent a scorpion to kill him. They fought, and the scorpion killed Orion by stinging him on the heel. Orion was sent into the stars as a constellation called Orion, and the scorpion was sent as the constellation Scorpio. The legend says Scorpio was placed in the sky so he could chase Orion through the stars forever. We also know that the Lion Nebula is in the Cepheus constellation. A nebula is a giant cloud of gas and dust in space. Some nebulae come from a dying star that gave off gas and dust. Others are gas and dust that are forming new stars. As we improve our equipment and spacecrafts to study the universe, it will be exciting to see what is discovered. The United States and Europe have the most certified dark sky locations, with more added each month. 3 new locations were certified in August. They were the town of Tubac, Arizona, which became a dark sky community, Gunnison Gorge National Conservation Area in Colorado that became a dark sky park, and the Isle of Rum in Scotland that became a dark sky sanctuary. Flagstaff, Arizona was the first certified dark sky city in 2001. In the right folder, you can see the excellent visibility Flagstaff has of the Milky Way galaxy. It is a college town and had to work hard to lower its light emissions. In my state of Arizona, Saguaro National Park outside of Tucson was recently certified as an urban night sky place. It is an area filled with gorgeous saguaros, hundreds of years old, and has an abundance of desert wildlife. Brecon National Park in Wales is a dark sky park covering 520 square miles. The residents lower their light emissions and use shielded lighting to protect their night sky. Pic du Midi Observatory in France is a dark sky reserve and has the lowest light pollution of any observatory worldwide. Kerry Dark Sky Reserve in Ireland covers a large area of Ireland, and a dark sky reserve has to have at least 173,000 acres. At least 67% of its residents must show support for the area becoming a dark sky reserve, and those residents must use dark sky lighting. North York Moors National Park in England is a dark sky park, and Boundary Waters Canoe Area is a dark sky sanctuary in Minnesota. It is located in Superior National Forest and covers over 1 million acres. It has many lakes and streams and over 1,000 miles of waterways for canoeing. A dark sky sanctuary is an area of land that has little light pollution to begin with, and few people use the area at night. So there is little need for artificial lights that would create light pollution. Gunnison Gorge National Conservation Area in Colorado is one of the newest dark sky parks. It's very popular with amateur astronomers, and it covers around 63,000 acres. After all this discussion about stars and dark skies, you might want to take up stargazing. There are several good apps for your cell phone that help identify what you're looking at in the night sky. Some of the apps are Stellarium, Google Sky Map, Starwalk, Exoplanet, and Sky Safari 6 Pro. The photo on the left is a screenshot of what you'll see using Stellarium. It is a free app that identifies stars and constellations. Did you recognize the constellation in the right corner of the screen? That's Orion the Hunter. There are also good books with charts showing different parts of the sky to help you locate various planets, stars, and constellations. Some of the most popular chart books are The Stars, Observer Sky Atlas, and Stargazer's Atlas. Each year, Dark Sky holds a global conference. This year, their virtual conference will be held November 8th and 9th. From astronomers exploring vast galaxies to entomologists studying tiny insects, their speakers will present some very interesting programs. You can register at darksky.org. To conclude, by following Dark Sky's 5 principles of outdoor lighting, we can each do our part to reduce light pollution. Make sure your outdoor lights are useful and necessary, that they face downward below the horizontal line using shields, that they have the correct amount of watts to do the job, that they are controlled by timers or sensors, and that the bulbs have a warm color. By preserving good visibility of our night skies today, we are helping ensure good visibility of our night skies in the future. I want to thank you for attending the webinar, and we'll see if you have any questions.
Yes, if you have any questions, please type them in. I want just to say that I first became aware of this problem only maybe 2 years ago, where I heard a story of a new school, and every morning when they arrived at school, they would find a lot of dead birds on the parking lot. And they could not figure out what was going on until they heard about light pollution and realized that they had basically overlit their parking lot, and it was affecting birds' migration to the point they got tired of flying around and wound up dead on the ground. I also have been in places where I see a lack of fireflies. And, we just don't understand how light and the excessive use of light affects so much. Light is security for us, and we use it for security, but sometimes it is overused, whether we're highlighting our house. When I was in Alaska 2 weeks ago, I so wanted to see the aurora. And my husband said, look outside with all these lights, you're not going to see it. And he was correct.